The SpaceX facility buzzed with activity under the California sun, a hub of innovation and ambition. Engineers and technicians moved with purpose, their focus on crafting the technology that would shape humanity's future among the stars. But outside the gates, a very different scene was unfolding. The deafening roar of motorcycle engines shattered the serene atmosphere. A group of bikers, clad in leather and sporting cocky grins, had parked their motorcycles in a row, creating a spectacle that drew curious glances from SpaceX staff. Grizz, the burly leader, revved his engine, smirking at the security guards stationed nearby. "What's the matter? Afraid we'll outshine your fancy rockets with some real horsepower?" Sparks, his wiry second-in-command, laughed loudly, slapping the side of his bike. "Yeah, where's Musk? We got a challenge for him, if he's not too busy building his space toys." The guards exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to handle the situation. Then, a sleek black Tesla rolled up, its quiet hum cutting through the chaos. The car came to a stop, and the door opened to reveal none other than Elon Musk himself. Dressed simply, but with an air of quiet authority, Elon stepped out and surveyed the scene. His calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the biker's rowdiness. "I hear you've been making some noise," he said, his tone measured. Grizz smirked, dismounting his bike. "Just trying to see if the future's as tough as the past. You up for it, Musk?" Elon tilted his head slightly, a faint smile playing on his lips. "How about a real challenge? Step inside. Let's see what you're made of." The bikers exchanged curious glances, their bravado masking a flicker of intrigue. Whatever Musk had planned, they weren't backing down. The challenge: test pilot program. The gates of the SpaceX facility opened with a smooth whir, revealing a sprawling complex of futuristic buildings and towering rocket components. The bikers rode in slowly, their engines rumbling against the sleek, high-tech surroundings. Sparks glanced around, his usual cockiness giving way to awe. "This place is like something out of a sci-fi movie." Grizz, ever the skeptic, snorted. "Let's not get starstruck, boys. Remember, we're here to prove we're tougher than Musk's gadgets." Inside the main hangar, Elon led the group to a central platform where a sleek, metallic rover sat under a spotlight. Its angular design and advanced tech were unmistakably SpaceX, a machine built for extraterrestrial exploration. "This," Elon began, gesturing toward the rover, "is the Lunar Explorer prototype, or LXP. It's designed to handle extreme conditions, craters, dust storms, zero gravity. But before we send it to the moon, we need to test its capabilities here on Earth." Tank, the quietest of the group, raised an eyebrow. "And you want us to test it? What makes you think we're qualified?" Elon smiled faintly. "You ride motorcycles, don't you? That means you understand balance, precision, and adaptability, skills that are critical for operating the LXP. Plus," he added, his tone teasing, "you seem eager to prove how tough you are. Here's your chance." Grizz folded his arms, eyeing the rover. "All right, Musk. What's the catch?" "No catch," Elon replied. "But the challenge won't be easy. The LXP is designed for precision and problem-solving, not brute force. If you're up for it, I'll show you the controls and assign tasks. Or," he added with a shrug, "you can back out now." Grizz exchanged glances with his crew. "We're in. Let's see what this toy of yours can do." The bikers gathered around the Lunar Explorer prototype, their skeptical expressions slowly giving way to curiosity. Sparks crouched to inspect the rover's wheels, which looked more like advanced treads than tires. "What kind of bike is this, Musk?" "No engine roar, no grit. Looks like a fancy RC car to me." Elon smirked, his calm demeanor unfazed. "It's powered by a high-efficiency electric motor and advanced AI. Those fancy wheels are designed to grip surfaces 10 times rougher than anything you'll find on Earth. You'll understand once you try it." Grizz folded his arms, still skeptical. "All right then, show us how this thing works." Elon stepped up to the control console on the rover's side, activating its interface. A holographic display lit up, showcasing its key features: terrain scanning, adaptive suspension, and manual override for advanced maneuvers. The LXP is fully autonomous, but can be operated manually for more precise tasks. You'll use this joystick to control its direction and speed, and this panel for mission objectives. Tank leaned in, intrigued. Mission objectives? Like what? Elon tapped the screen, and a simulated landscape appeared on the hologram. A rocky desert with obstacles like steep inclines and narrow paths. Your first task is simple. Navigate the course without damaging the rover. But precision is key. The LXB is sensitive to sudden jerks or rough handling. Sparks laughed, punching Grizz's arm. Looks like your heavy-handed riding style's about to be tested. Grizz ignored him, stepping forward to grip the joystick. Let's see what this thing can do. Elon watched as Grizz began maneuvering the rover. The machine responded smoothly to his inputs, but the first tight turn sent it tilting dangerously to one side. Easy, Elon advised. Balance matters here, just like on your bikes. Grizz gritted his teeth, adjusting his grip. The rest of the bikers watched, their competitiveness kicking in. They weren't about to let technology show them up. Grizz continued guiding the rover through the simulated course, his jaw set with determination. The LXB glided smoothly over the first few obstacles, but as he approached a steep incline covered in uneven rocks, the rover hesitated. Sparks couldn't help himself. Looks like your delicate touch is getting tested, Grizz. Grizz growled, adjusting the joystick. Relax. I've got this. Elon stood nearby, his voice calm, but instructive. Remember, the LXB adapts to terrain, but only if you guide it properly. Use the suspension controls to stabilize the rover before attempting the climb. Grizz glanced at the holographic display, his hands hovering over the suspension controls. He toggled the settings as instructed, the rover's chassis rising slightly to adjust for the rocky incline. All right, here goes nothing, he muttered. The LXB began its ascent, its adaptive wheels gripping the uneven surface with precision. The bikers leaned in, watching intently as Grizz carefully navigated the climb. Halfway up, the rover hit a loose patch of gravel and slid slightly. Sparks let out a whistle. Careful, boss. Don't scratch Musk's toy. Tank, watching quietly, spoke up. Give it less throttle. Let the wheels find their grip. Grizz exhaled sharply, following Tank's advice. The rover steadied itself and continued upward, finally reaching the top. The bikers broke into scattered applause, their earlier mockery now tinged with respect. Elon nodded approvingly. Good recovery. The key to mastering the LXB is balance, not just physically, but in your decisions. Every move affects the next. Sparks stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. All right, my turn. Let's see if this thing can handle some real skill. As Sparks took control, the bikers gathered around, their competitive spirit reignited. For the first time, they were starting to see the challenge not as a rivalry, but as an opportunity to prove themselves in a new way. Sparks gripped the joystick with a cocky grin, his confidence radiating as he prepared to navigate the course. All right, boys, watch and learn. I've got this thing figured out. Elon raised an eyebrow, his tone calm. Confidence is good, but remember, precision is key. Rushing through will only make things harder. Sparks waved him off. Yeah. Let the master work. The LXB sprang to life under Sparks' control, gliding effortlessly over the first obstacle. He maneuvered the rover with flair, taking wide turns and sharp cuts that elicited cheers from the bikers. See that? Smooth as butter, Sparks boasted, throwing a mock salute to the group. But as he approached a narrow pass lined with sharp edges, his overconfidence got the better of him. Sparks pushed the throttle too hard, sending the rover tilting dangerously toward the side. Careful, Elon called out. Ease off the controls. Let it stabilize itself. Sparks panicked, yanking the joystick in the opposite direction. The rover jolted back but scraped its side against a jagged edge, causing a grinding noise that made everyone wince. Nice one, Sparks, Grizz quipped, crossing his arms. Real smooth. Sparks sighed, his bravado deflating. All right, maybe this thing's a little trickier than I thought. Tank stepped forward, his calm demeanor contrasting with Sparks' earlier showmanship. Let me take a crack at it, he said, his tone steady. As Tank began his turn, his approach was markedly different, slow, deliberate, and calculated. He adjusted the rover's settings before each move, consulting the holographic display to anticipate the next challenge. The bikers watched in silence, their usual banter replaced by genuine interest. Elon observed with a satisfied nod. That's the mindset needed for exploration. Patience, precision, and adaptability. You're getting it? By the end of Tank's run, the group was no longer mocking the challenge. Instead, they were intrigued, their respect for both the rover and Elon's guidance growing with each step. The turning point. Emotional reveal. The bikers gathered near the course's finish line, their earlier bravado tempered by the challenge. Grizz leaned against his bike, watching the Lunar Explorer prototype with a mix of curiosity and respect. Sparks, now quiet for once, muttered, "All right, I'll admit it. This thing's more impressive than I thought." Elon approached the group, his calm presence encouraging conversation. "What you've seen so far is just the beginning. This rover is designed for challenges far beyond Earth. Places where mistakes aren't just costly, but life-threatening." Tank nodded, his voice thoughtful. "It's not just about the machine, though, is it? Feels like it's as much about the person using it." Elon smiled. "Exactly. Technology is only as good as the mindset behind it. That's why we test, to push limits, learn, and adapt." Grizz, normally the confident leader, seemed unusually quiet. His gaze lingered on the rover, and his voice had a rare edge of uncertainty. "You ever think about what drives people to do this kind of stuff, Musk? Exploring the unknown, risking everything." Elon's tone softened. "All the time. It's about something bigger than ourselves, leaving the world better than we found it. For some, it's a calling." The group fell silent, the weight of Elon's words sinking in. Sparks, never one for serious moments, tried to lighten the mood. "Guess that's why we stick to bikes. Less thinking, more riding." But Grizz didn't laugh. Instead, he looked down, his usual bravado cracking ever so slightly. "Not all of us. Some of us, we dreamt of something more." The bikers exchanged glances, their leader's unexpected vulnerability catching them off guard. Even Elon seemed intrigued, sensing there was more to Grizz's story than he was letting on. The group shifted uncomfortably in the silence that followed Grizz's words. Sparks furrowed his brow, trying to mask his confusion. "What's that supposed to mean, Grizz? You planning to swap your bike for one of Musk's rockets?" Grizz shot him a half-hearted glare, but didn't respond immediately. He kicked at the gravel beneath his boots, his usual tough demeanor replaced with something uncharacteristically vulnerable. Finally, he sighed. "You know, when I was a kid, I didn't dream about riding motorcycles. I dreamt about flying." The bikers exchanged surprised looks. Tank, usually reserved, broke the silence. "Flying? Like planes and stuff?" Grizz shook his head, a faint, wistful smile tugging at his lips. "No, like this." He gestured toward the SpaceX facility, where towering rockets stood in the distance. "I wanted to be an astronaut. Used to watch every shuttle launch on TV, imagining what it'd be like up there, beyond all this." Even Sparks was at a loss for words, his usual quips replaced by a quiet understanding. "Man, I never knew that about you." Elon stepped forward, his tone calm and encouraging. "What stopped you?" Grizz hesitated, his rough exterior faltering. "Life happened. Money, family, expectations. And, well, people like us, we don't get those kinds of chances." Elon's gaze softened, his voice steady but resolute. "Chances are rare, but they're not impossible. It's never too late to pursue a dream, no matter where you start." The weight of Elon's words hung in the air. The bikers, who had always looked up to Grizz for his strength, now saw another side of him, one that made him even more human. Grizz met Elon's gaze, a flicker of hope breaking through his usual stoicism. "You really think someone like me could do something like this?" Elon's faint smile returned. "I don't think it, I know it." The silence was broken only by the faint hum of activity in the SpaceX facility behind them. The bikers, usually quick with a joke or taunt, remained uncharacteristically quiet. Sparks finally muttered, "So, what are you saying, Musk? You're going to make Grizz an astronaut?" Elon's calm gaze shifted from Sparks to Grizz. "Why not? Becoming an astronaut isn't just about degrees or perfect paths. It's about resilience, adaptability, and the ability to lead under pressure. From what I've seen, Grizz already has those qualities." Grizz scoffed lightly, though there was no malice in it. "You make it sound easy, but you and I both know it's not." Elon stepped closer, his voice steady. "You're right. It's not easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But the first step is deciding it's possible. Tank, who had been quiet, spoke up, his deep voice filled with curiosity. What would that even look like? I mean, Grizz in a SpaceX suit. Can you really see that? Elon smiled faintly, gesturing toward the rover. Every astronaut starts somewhere. Training, testing, learning to work with advanced systems like this. The LXB is more than a machine. It's a tool to prepare for challenges in space. And Grizz just proved he's capable of handling it. Sparks leaned back, his arms crossed. You're serious about this? Aren't you? Like this isn't just some PR stunt. Elon's tone was firm, completely serious. If Grizz is willing to put in the effort, I'm willing to give him a shot. But it's up to him. All eyes turned to Grizz. His rough exterior cracked further as he looked at the rover, then the rockets in the distance. Finally, he exhaled deeply. I've spent my life telling myself it was too late for dreams like this. Maybe it's time to stop. Elon nodded, his faint smile encouraging. Then let's make it happen. Grizz stood in silence, the weight of Elon's words settling over him. For years, he'd buried his dream under layers of practicality and tough guy bravado. Now, standing at the crossroads of his past and an unexpected future, the possibility of something greater flickered in his mind. Sparks broke the quiet, his voice tinged with disbelief. So, what's next, Grizz? You gonna trade your bike for a rocket? Captain Grizz, commander of space bikers? The group chuckled lightly, but the usual mockery was gone. This time it felt more like camaraderie. Grizz shook his head, a rare smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Nah, not trading anything. But maybe it's time I added something new to the ride. Elon gestured toward the rover. That's the spirit. The first step is learning, and the LXB is designed for that. If you're ready, I can put you on the path, testing systems, training simulations, even a chance to contribute to future missions. Tank's voice rumbled from the back. You're really giving him a shot at this, huh? No red tape. No hoops to jump through? Elon shrugged. There's always effort involved. But when someone shows they have the drive and potential, I believe in giving them a chance. Grizz has both. The group nodded, their earlier skepticism replaced with a sense of pride. Even Sparks, the loudest critic, softened. Well, if anyone can handle it, it's you, Grizz. Just don't forget about us when you're up there looking down at Earth. Grizz chuckled, shaking his head. Like I could ever forget you clowns. Elon's calm voice brought them back to the moment. Dreams don't have an expiration date. You just have to decide to chase them. Grizz met Elon's gaze, the faintest spark of determination lighting in his eyes. All right, Musk. Let's see where this road takes us. The group stood together in the glow of the SpaceX facility, the quiet hum of the Lunar Explorer prototype filling the background. Grizz looked at the rover, then at the towering rockets in the distance, and finally back at Elon. All right, he said, his voice steady. I'm in. Show me what I need to do. Elon's faint smile grew. Good? We'll start with the basics, system controls, simulations, and rover operations. The LXB is just the beginning. Sparks leaned against his bike, smirking. Looks like our fearless leaders trading leather for a flight suit. Who would have thought? Tank gave Grizz a firm pat on the back. You've got this, man. You've led us through tougher scrapes than this. Grizz turned to his crew, his usual stoicism softening into something more vulnerable. This doesn't mean I'm leaving you guys behind. It just means maybe it's time I did something for me, too. The bikers nodded, their earlier jabs replaced with genuine support. Sparks added, You better, Grizz. Otherwise, we're gonna have to come back here and show Musk what real teamwork looks like. Elon stepped forward, extending a hand. Space exploration isn't about leaving behind. It's about bringing everyone forward. You'll be representing more than just yourself out there. Grizz shook Elon's hand, the weight of the moment sinking in. Then I'd better not mess it up. The group watched as Elon led Grizz toward the facility, the faint glow of the training area in the distance. The remaining bikers exchanged glances, pride evident in their expressions. As the facility doors closed behind them, Sparks let out a low whistle. Well, looks like our ride just got a whole lot quieter. Think we'll miss the guy? Tank grinned. Not a chance. He'll be back, with stories we'll never believe. And with that, a dream once buried under years of doubt began to take flight, proving that it's never too late to reach for the stars. The collaboration, rising to the challenge. Inside the SpaceX training facility, Grizz stood in awe, his usual tough exterior replaced by a mix of curiosity and determination. The sleek interior was a stark contrast to the dusty highways he was used to, filled with advanced simulators, holographic displays, and a hum of focused activity. Elon gestured toward a nearby station, where a training version of the Lunar Explorer prototype, LXP, awaited. "This is where it starts," he said. "You'll be working with the LXP in simulated conditions, craters, obstacles, and even low gravity. It's all designed to prepare you for real-world applications." Grizz nodded, stepping closer to the rover. He placed a hand on its smooth surface, feeling the cool metal beneath his palm. "Looks like it's tougher than I gave it credit for," he muttered. Elon smiled. "And so are you. Let's see how you handle the first simulation." As Grizz climbed into the operator's seat, Elon activated the holographic display, which projected a virtual lunar landscape around the training station. The room transformed into a rocky expanse, complete with craters and steep ridges. "This simulation mimics the terrain of the moon," Elon explained. "Your task is to navigate the rover to the designated checkpoint without damaging it. Precision and strategy are key." Grizz gripped the controls, his hands steady despite the tension in his shoulders. The rover responded smoothly as he guided it forward, carefully maneuvering around jagged rocks and loose gravel. At one point, the LXP tipped slightly on a steep incline, and Grizz instinctively adjusted the suspension, stabilizing the rover. Elon nodded approvingly. "Good. You're learning to anticipate challenges, not just react to them." For the first time, Grizz allowed himself a small smile. This might just be my kind of ride. The first steps of his training were complete, but the real test was just beginning. Grizz's confidence grew with each passing minute, his initial hesitation replaced by a steady determination. He guided the Lunar Explorer prototype, LXP, across the simulated lunar terrain, avoiding obstacles with increasing precision. Elon observed from a nearby console, monitoring Grizz's progress. "You're picking this up faster than most people do," he said, his tone both encouraging and matter-of-fact. Grizz smirked, his hands steady on the controls. "Well, riding through desert highways teaches you a thing or two about handling rough terrain." The simulation suddenly shifted, and the holographic landscape transformed into a more challenging environment. Craters became deeper, paths narrower, and sharp rock formations loomed dangerously close to the rover's trajectory. Elon's voice carried a hint of warning. "This next phase requires teamwork. The LXP sensors will provide feedback on angles and stability, but you'll need to rely on a spotter to guide you through tight spaces." Sparks, who had been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward with a grin. "All right, Grizz. Looks like you're going to need my help. Try not to mess it up, all right?" Grizz rolled his eyes but nodded. "Just don't distract me with your talking." Sparks took his position by the console, his job to read the rover's telemetry and call out adjustments. "All right, boss, you've got a sharp turn coming up. Ease off the throttle and adjust left, just a little." Grizz followed the instructions, and the rover maneuvered through the tight path with ease. The bikers watching from the side began to cheer, their earlier skepticism replaced with excitement. Elon smiled faintly. "That's the kind of collaboration we look for in exploration. No one succeeds alone, especially in space." Grizz glanced at Sparks, his smirk softening. "Guess you're good for more than just bad jokes." The first test was complete, but the challenges ahead would push them even further. The holographic terrain shifted again, this time introducing a simulated lunar canyon with narrow ridges and unstable ground. Elon stepped forward, addressing Grizz and Sparks. "This next task is a test of both precision and decision-making. The rover's path splits into two routes. One is longer but safer, while the other is shorter but riskier. It's up to you to decide which path to take." Grizz studied the display, his brow furrowed in concentration. Sparks leaned over, pointing at the shorter route. "That one's faster. If we time it right, we can make it through before the rocks shift." Tank, watching from the sidelines, interjected. "Yeah, but if you mess up, you'll damage the rover or get stuck. The long route's the better bet. It's steady, even if it takes more time." Grizz glanced at Elon, who remained silent, clearly leaving the decision to him. After a moment of deliberation, Grizz nodded. "We'll take the long route. No point risking the mission, just to save a little time. Sparks groaned, but didn't argue. All right, boss. You're the one driving. The LXB began its journey down the longer path, its sensors adjusting to the uneven terrain. The bikers watched anxiously as Grizz navigated around deep craters and jagged rocks. Sparks monitored the telemetry, calling out adjustments when needed. Watch your left. Steer clear of that edge. It's loose gravel. Grizz followed the guidance, the rover moving steadily forward. As they neared the end of the route, the ground began to tremble, a simulated moonquake shaking the terrain. Elon's voice cut through the tension. Stay calm. Use the rover's stabilization system to counter the vibrations. Grizz quickly activated the controls, the LXB's adaptive suspension, steadying the vehicle. Sparks let out a breath of relief as the rover reached solid ground. Good call, Grizz, Elon said. Choosing the safer path might have taken longer, but it ensured success. That's the kind of decision-making we need in space. Grizz smirked, glancing at his crew. Told you. Sometimes slow and steady wins the race. The bikers cheered, their camaraderie stronger than ever as they prepared for the final phase of the test. The final phase of the simulation presented the ultimate challenge. A steep descent into a simulated lunar crater followed by a precise retrieval task. A beacon at the bottom of the crater marked the target, and the rover needed to navigate the treacherous slope, retrieve a payload, and return without error. Elon addressed the group, his voice steady. This is a test of coordination and adaptability. Grizz, you'll handle the descent, but Sparks and Tank will need to assist. Sparks will manage telemetry and pathfinding, while Tank monitors the rover's stability. Grizz adjusted his grip on the controls, nodding. Got it. Let's finish this. The LXB began its descent, its adaptive wheels gripping the steep, rocky slope. Sparks called out updates from the console. Keep it steady, boss. You've got a sharp drop coming up. Angle the suspension forward. Grizz followed the instructions, but the slope's uneven surface caused the rover to jolt sideways. Tank, how's stability looking? Tank studied the data on his screen. You're good for now, but any sudden moves could tip it. Keep your speed low. The bikers watched with bated breath as the LXB reached the bottom of the crater. The payload, a small, reflective cylinder, glinted under the simulated sunlight. Elon's voice came through the comms. The retrieval mechanism requires precision. Grizz, Sparks will guide you through the alignment. Sparks focused on the telemetry. All right, move forward slowly, stop. Now angle the claw to the left. A little more perfect. The rover's robotic arm extended, gripping the payload and securing it in the storage compartment. Sparks let out a triumphant cheer. We got it. Grizz exhaled deeply, guiding the rover back up the slope with Tank and Sparks coordinating every move. As the LXB crested the rim of the crater, the bikers erupted into applause. Elon approached with a faint smile. You've proven more than just technical skill today. You've shown what collaboration can achieve. This is the spirit of exploration. Grizz glanced at his crew, his expression one of pride. Teamwork, huh? Guess we're not so bad at it after all. The simulation ended, but the lessons learned were only the beginning of their journey. Resolution and takeaways. The holographic display faded, and the training room returned to its original state. Grizz stepped out of the LXB's operator's seat, his boots hitting the floor with a heavy thud. His face, usually stoic, now carried a rare mix of pride and exhaustion. Sparks walked over, patting Grizz on the back. Not bad, boss. Didn't think you'd make it up that slope without flipping the thing. Grizz smirked, shaking his head. It wasn't just me. Couldn't have done it without you two keeping me steady. Tank crossed his arms, his tone steady but warm. Team effort, like Musk said. Never thought I'd say it, but I'm starting to see the appeal of all this tech stuff. Elon approached the group, his calm demeanor exuding quiet satisfaction. What you accomplished today isn't just about the rover. It's about proving that resilience, trust, and adaptability can overcome even the toughest challenges. That's what exploration demands. Grizz met Elon's gaze, his voice quieter than usual. Feels different from what we're used to. On the road, it's all instinct, reacting in the moment. But this? It's about thinking ahead, relying on others. Elon nodded. Exactly. The road and space have more in common than you might think. Both demand respect, preparation, and the courage to face the unknown. The rest of the bikers, who had been watching from the sidelines, began to clap, their earlier skepticism now replaced with admiration. Sparks turned to the group, grinning. "So, who's next? Think you can top Grizz's score?" The laughter and camaraderie filled the room, but beneath it lay a deeper sense of accomplishment. The bikers had started the day mocking technology, yet now they stood united by a shared triumph and a newfound respect for each other and themselves. As the excitement settled, Elon stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chatter. "What you've done today isn't just about proving yourself here. It's about realizing that growth happens when you step out of your comfort zone. And each of you has done that." Grizz, leaning against the rover, nodded thoughtfully. "I guess it's easy to stick to what you know. Harder to admit there's more out there worth learning." Sparks smirked, leaning against the console. "Yeah, especially when it comes from the guy we came here to poke fun at. Gotta admit, Musk, you've got more than a few tricks up your sleeve." Elon chuckled softly. "It's not about tricks, it's about mindset. Challenges like these aren't just for proving what a machine can do. They're about showing what people are capable of when they adapt and work together." Tank spoke up, his voice steady. "You're talking about more than just space, aren't you? Feels like this applies to life in general." Elon nodded. "Exactly. Whether it's the open road or the surface of the moon, success comes from resilience, creativity, and collaboration." Grizz glanced at the towering rockets in the distance. "So what's next, Musk? You said this was just the beginning. What else do you have in mind?" Elon's gaze followed Grizz's. "The same principles you've shown here today, teamwork, adaptability, are what SpaceX relies on for every mission. If you're serious about it, there's a place for people like you in our programs. But it'll take commitment." The group exchanged glances, their earlier bravado replaced with genuine curiosity and a spark of possibility. Grizz pushed off the rover and extended a hand to Elon. "You've given us a lot to think about. Let's see where this road takes us." The SpaceX training facility quieted as the bikers absorbed the gravity of the moment. For a group that thrived on adrenaline and rebellion, this day had taken them on an unexpected ride, one that challenged their perceptions and opened new doors. Elon gestured toward the rockets in the distance, their sleek forms silhouetted against the fading sunlight. "Every mission starts with a single decision to try. It's not about where you come from, but where you're willing to go." Grizz looked at his crew, a rare glint of emotion in his eyes. "I've spent most of my life looking at the road ahead, not up at the stars. Maybe it's time to change that." Sparks chuckled, shaking his head. "Can't believe you're going soft on us, boss. Next thing we know, you'll be trading in your bike for one of those rovers." Tank grinned. "If he does, I'll be right there with him." Elon's faint smile returned. "This isn't about trading one passion for another. It's about adding to it. The best explorers bring their unique experiences to the journey. And who knows? One day, you might be testing machines like this on the moon instead of here." The bikers laughed, but their smiles carried a sense of pride and possibility. Grizz turned to Elon and extended his hand again. "You got us thinking, Musk. That's no small feat, thanks for the chance and the challenge." As the group mounted their bikes and revved their engines, the sound echoed through the SpaceX grounds, a symbol of their unyielding spirit. Elon watched them ride off into the horizon, a faint smile on his face. Some journeys start on the road, but they don't have to end there. Sometimes, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning. And so, what began as a clash of worlds outside a SpaceX facility turned into an inspiring story of transformation. Elon Musk and a group of bikers proved that with the right mindset, even the most unlikely individuals can rise to the challenge and discover new possibilities. This journey reminds us all, growth starts when we leave our comfort zones and embrace the unknown. Whether it's the open road or the final frontier, the future belongs to those willing to explore it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and adventurous stories. See you in the next video.